Well, well, well. I have to say that with respect to the fantastic previous presentation, what I will ask you is, come back to Earth with me, please. We have been thinking out of the box, and perhaps, if you allow me, I will bring you back in the box today and share with you about consumer product innovation needs strategy. In fact, I suspect, and thank Dassault for this invitation, Dassault Systèmes, but I suspect you invited me because of the experience that I have had in the field of consumer products. And it started from the top here of the right quadrant with the pharma products, the medical products linked to the fact that I've been the head of medical department, but that I'm currently also a non-executive board member of AstraZeneca, the pharma. And subsequently, an experience in the real business application space where I've been leading for Unilever the R&D department, then dealing with home and personal care products as well as nutrition products. So now I am in charge of the research of Firmenich. So just for information, Firmenich is a private company. It's the #1 company providing flavors and fragrances. And what you can see here is that flavor and fragrances are all over the place, of the medical products, of the home and personal products, but also of the nutrition products. So what I'm sharing with you today is, as the title of the conference is, the age of experience of various fields of applications. In fact, these fields of applications do have a very, very strong overlap. Some of the products are at the interface of the personal products and the medical products. The nutrition is, of course, completely linked to the medical space. So the borders between all these spaces are not strongly designed, and there is a lot of fluidity between the needs and between the applications and the way you develop them. In fact, interestingly, I'd like to share with you, when leaving the medical space for Unilever, FMCG company, some of my colleagues at that time were saying, well, prestigious professor in medicine going to develop soaps? How can you do this in some way? Was it, the questions behind, was it because of the money or something like this? In fact, the answer is much more simpler than this. First, I will tell you how complicated it is to develop a soap, but then I would like also to share with you how important it is for the people. And by developing antibacterial, real antibacterial soaps, I also had the feeling that you can be much more of a life changer and bringing to the people important things than a blockbuster in the pharma would be. So once again, the limits are not as strong as they appear to be. Now, in the fragrance and flavor space, flavors and fragrances are all over here. It does imply being delivered for home and personal care. It does involve the nutrition aspects, where taste is still key. If you want healthy products, what will win with the consumer at the end is the taste. You cannot miss this one. And it is the same for the pharma, where for some children, the taste and the bitterness masking would be extremely important for the acceptance. So there is one overarching concept in the medical products, the home and personal care products, or the food products, which I'd like to call are the implications for the quality of life. All of the consumer products, one way or another, if they want to be successful, they have to have a positive impact on the quality of life. For those in the medical field, the quality of life is a very well-known concept. I mean, you can even have a drug FDA approval only because of the improvement of the quality of life, regardless of the clinical results. It is measurable. There are tools to measure this. But now more and more it is entering into consumer products. I had the opportunity when working at a time with L'Oréal to develop a tool to measure the quality of life improvement in cosmetology in order to show what it was bringing as a next health index linked to these consumer products. Of course, in the food aspects, reducing fat, sugar, salt are absolutely part of the improvement of the quality of life, yet keeping the taste so that people want to eat this and to rebuy and repurchase. So, all these new products, back to the earth, as I said before, are extremely supported by science. A science which will bring proof of benefits and validated claims. The validation of what you say has become more and more important. Let's take the pharma. You need clinical trials to prove the success of the new molecules dedicated to a certain pathology. In the home and personal care, if you are selling something supposed to be an antibacterial, you need also to bring the proof. You need to bring the biological considerations around the products, and consumers are asking this more and more. For nutrition, all the aspects of health and prevention are also linked to clinical trials and well-being or prevention of diseases. So, I would say that if you go to the pharma, from the pharma to the FMCG, the level of and the cost of the proofs are different. They are higher in the pharma than they would be in the home and personal care. But in fact, honestly, I really believe, and I have experienced this, that all these spaces need the same need of science and innovation. I do remember one of our first discussions with Bernard Charlesen. It was about a shampoo, and you nearly said that having the right shampoo of the right consistence, floating of the bottle without leaving too much in the bottle, and all the simulation around this might be nearly, I think you said nearly as complex as modeling a plane about to fly. And in fact, it is extremely complex. The new trends all over the world, and mainly for those who can afford it, the new trends is the appetite for naturals. In fact, I noticed in one of my hotel rooms that they were providing vegan shampoo. So, I mean, I don't think anyone is eating the shampoo, but that was vegan shampoo, written big on the small bottle, hard to read because of the hotel size of the bottle. But that's just a reality. So, what does it mean for people in our industry? Well, first, what does it mean? We want this to be naturals. Because at the end, to be honest with you, the nature has provided the best killer in the world. I mean, some of the molecules you can find in the natures are naturals, but they are absolutely not good for you. What the people want when they say, I want something natural, the interpretation I'm doing is, I want something that is safe for me, my family, and the environment. And really behind this appetite for naturals is the concept of safe. Then the second consideration around the naturals, is there enough for everyone and everybody, everywhere, and for everything? Well, today numbers would show that if you want natural strawberries, let's take this example, you would have all over the world enough strawberries for the yogurt category and only in Germany. So, I mean, this is not going to give natural flavors or whatever to the whole world. Hence, it leads again to science and the development of biotechnology, fermentation technology, where the outcomes are about to provide or are already providing natural labeling with a great interest. On the previous charts, what I also have to say is that what is important, so we said safety. So safety is important. Regulatory in the consumer products has become more and more of a burden or of an opportunity, because the company really respecting the regulatory consideration are the one going to win on the marketplace. Claims are important, and the IP is really on top of the agenda in the very competitive landscapes where people are really competing for many of these products. I'd like to take Firmenich, the company I'm working now for, as an example of what it means being in the consumer product space. So what we do are fragrances and flavors. Fragrances are nearly everywhere. You take a bottle of shampoo, you take even a coffee, you take a tea. In most of the cases, anything is really dealing with the fragrances and flavors. So we develop the fragrances for fine fragrance. Here it's on your left. In fact, a company like ours, they do provide a significant quantity of the fine fragrance that other company will put in bottle. I'm not going to give the name here. And for this, we need creations, we need perfumers, but we also need the basic ingredients. And all the differentiation that we are going to bring in this space is mainly the IP around the ingredients that we are providing, as well as all the sensory tests, as well as all the brain MRI investigation, which will rely to the emotion and the hedonistic aspects the fragrance is giving. In home and personal care, it is about the same, but on a different format, providing the fragrance that very often creates habit, but also creates memory. How many people would remind the smell of the soap of their grandmother? I don't know when and how we will digitize this emotion that you can have from the memory of this. But of course, it has become one of the very important elements all over the spectrum. In food, as I said before, it's about providing the good things to the people. Sugar is really online to be significantly reduced, and by providing taste which give the pleasure without less sugar, I think last year we have been able to reduce by 300 tons the number of sugar in the same quantity of product. So you could have a large and significant number. The same would be for the calorie. So we provide things which are safe, which deliver the emotion, which have an impact on the quality of life of the people, but also we need the competitiveness, meaning IP, ownership, proprietary solution and technology. We need the exclusivity and, of course, the IP I was referring to. And I'd like to dig a bit more into some of the examples that we can provide. Of course, we can provide pleasure, emotions, the holistic aspects of the fragrances, but we can also fight the bad fragrances, bad odor, the bad smell. And I will give you one of the examples on how our field can extend beyond the pleasure. But first, I will deal with the science behind what we do. In fact, a company as our company has a high level and sometimes unsuspected high level of science. The company received a Nobel Prize, which I think is a recognition of the quality of the science. We recently acquired another company. This other company was also created on a Nobel Prize outcome. And it is really important, I would say, for someone in an R&D organization, in a private company, that this belief of the shareholders is really bringing that the science is at the base of the business that they are doing. It results as a high investment. A company like ours would be slightly below the pharma at the percentage of investment level. but still a significant investment. One example is the science of taste and olfactory receptors. It is really a science that has boomed during the 25 years. In fact, the discovery of the olfactory receptor, which linked to a Nobel Prize, is extremely recent. People were not knowing a few years ago, and I was still born for a long time, I would say, when the olfactory receptors have been discovered, which role they were playing. So we are now able to have all the cell biology science behind and make the connections between the ingredients that we are producing, the mixture of ingredients, how they interact with the receptors, and how, at the end, they would impact the brain reactions. The same happens for the taste receptors, and this would make us the unique company with such as many science in the science of taste, olfactory receptors. I could speak of the olfactory receptors for days, but I think that's not what you want here. The other things that company in the personal home care, fragrances and flavors is really the multidisciplinarity of the scientific field that you need. We need synthetic chemistry, we need biotechnology, we need material science and the delivery system, because what you have, you want to deliver them when you want, if you want, and release them when you want. We need strong cell biology. The science of the receptors is only one example. We need analytical and of course, IT, it goes without saying. And we need a strong open innovation system. So we partner a lot. As I think the science in most companies has to be done now, meaning via partnerships and partnering. One of the questions when you partner with another company is very often, yes, but who is going to have the IP? How are we going to share the IP? And rules depends according to the country. My theory is very simple. It is to say that 50% of a lot is more than 100% of nothing. And if you start thinking that way, you in fact do much more. But in order for a company to do the right open innovation, you also need the right people inside. You need people able to judge, to evaluate, to decide of the right partnerships. Otherwise, you can be sold absolutely anything. So, flavors and fragrances. But in fact, the application fields we are in are much broader. And I will take one I like to take as an example. It's MALODOR control. In many parts of the world, many people are not using toilets just because of the odor that the toilets are giving them. It would be the case in many countries. I'm not going to list here. And we can synthesize all the malodors in any toilets. I can make for you a toilet in Egypt at 40 degrees or one in India at 37 degrees. So we can resynthesize all this environment. And this is in this context that you have been working with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in order to control the malodor in the aim to be part of the solution. It's not the only thing, but to be part of the solution of the sanitation program. And I have to say that we succeeded very well, not only because we understood what malodor was, but because we have all the science of the olfactory receptors. So we have been able to identify the ingredients which would block the receptors in charge of the malodor feeling and do not transmit the information to the brain. And because we have very good perfumers, we have been able to make a good mix of something smelling good, integrating all of these. And because we also have the encapsulation, we can deliver this if we want and when we want. To be honest, it's kind of, I tend to say, very good and high-level quality science, which was recognized by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. This picture with Bill Gates is when he spent with us, I am on the picture, 4.5 hours visiting our laboratory. And we were happy that Bill Gates also inside Bill's Gate, the Netflix movie, is presenting the picture that you have on the left of Firmenich providing solution in the sanitation space. But we are not only interested in the sanitation space, we are also interested in the insect control, we are also interested in many other benefits that could be provided. Sustainability agenda, if you do this right, you are in a space where you also answer to the question of the sustainability agenda. You had many considerations yesterday already around sustainability, so I'm not going to tell you that the conviction is that the sustainability agenda is business and is making business. Here is an example where in 2018 we have been ranked at one of the two companies, the other one was L'Oréal, for a AAA, climate, water and forestry, but there are many other applications. For the sake of time, I'm not telling too much. When we prepared this session, I was asked also, because of the audience, to give some words on what it is to be in research in the business and how you push for the right things to be done in business. Well, how do you do this push and pull of a research organization in large or less large organization? One short story. When I was working for Unilever, we were selling creams. And I had the idea that you could do beauty not only with creams, but that lasers or other devices could provide beauty. But you know, marketeers, they sell creams, so it was kind of difficult sell to the business, I would say. Went to see my boss, was Paul Pullman at that time, and told him, well, you know, I think we are not in a cream business. We are in a beauty business. If we are in a beauty business, I'd like to develop something around the laser technology with, by the end, get the first FDA approval for at home to be used later. I've got the funding, I could do it. I want you to know that the business is not really buying this as an idea at the beginning. And he looked at me and said, well, Genevieve, I guess that's what you get paid for. And that's really a conviction that we have to be the one bringing these ideas, being the one being courageous, being able also to show to the business that we balance the short term and the long term, that we are able to use the risk-right profile and be able to express the benefits in business terms. What is the role Dassault Systèmes can or could play or has played in the consumer good products? Well, to be honest, everything and everywhere, I would say, for all the applications and the need we would have. We are facing in consumer products more complexity. We have to access to speed to market, but we need also to provide more to the consumer about the safety of the product, about following the product, the authenticity, characterizing from source to consumer with honesty and transparency. And for all of this, the needs are simulation, modelization, and AI. Will AI one day replace our fantastic perfumers? I don't know. That's really something which could be on the table. But what is sure is that to do this, we would need to have the data. So the one owning the data in some spaces are the one which really have the goal and the value to which the other tools can be applied. So those are what I wanted to share with you, and I think I'm just over my time, so I thank you for listening to me.